Hey, this is Max. Welcome back to another CSR2 video. I'm here at race 60 of the Colorado leg of the American road trip. We're going to finish the last 10 races and discuss the difficulties and issues with this event as we go. So, first of all, as expected, the Colorado event really isn't particularly difficult if you have the cars. And that's the key. The game requires you to have the cars. My first 3 lock-ins are all fully maxed, which means I breezed through the first 60 races without any issues. With the final 2 lock-ins, I did manage to get quite a decent amount of stage 6s while I was acquiring these. So I've been kind of preparing for this ahead of time, which also means you got to pay, right? Now, what you just saw there was a little bit of smack talking about how we have the Captiv, the Charger Captiv, as sort of a ringer car to finish the event with. And that's what's expected here, that lock-in number 5 would be the Charger Captiv because that's the one you win from Showdown. However, Natural Motion also lets you use the flash car, the Mustang Mach 1 Patriarch, and that's actually what I'm using here. The Patriarch is a good, easy car to drive. It adapts well to body and transmission stage 6s, which are what's installed here. Much like the Corvette, if you have those 2 stage 6s, body and trans, you will run 7.8 and change. And hopefully that's enough. Both cars are very good, with the stage 6s really pushing its performance down quite a bit from the 8-point-something second range down to 7.8s. And that's exactly what we want. We want a car that basically can perform well with fewer stage 6s than a car that is a 10-second car, and then you have to put quite a few stage 6s to get it into a much faster range. The reality is, without stage 6s, you're not going to make it. So the 2 top stage 6s generally are what the developers are looking for these events, with some events being difficult enough or the car not being good enough that you would need 3 stage 6s or more. My feeling is if the last 2 lock-ins are full fusion, 2 max, 2 of the best stage 6s involved, you should be good. And so far it's been proving to be true. I haven't even seen a race that's anywhere near difficult yet. And we're well into the 60 range the last few races here. So as you can see, race 64, 11 seconds. Now, the other piece to note here is that since the little blurb about the Charger Captiv, from that race on, we have only been using lock-in number 5. This means really the game developers are expecting you, unless it's a relay, to basically finish this event with lock-in number 5. If I were to get the Charger and if my other car is the Corvette, I wouldn't necessarily have an issue doing lock-in number 5 being the Charger, simply because fusions are easier to get anyway. The only thing is, of course, stage 6s. If you're unlucky and the stage 6 that you do manage to get from crates happens to be intake or turbo, you're not going to make it. The other piece is that even if you sit through the entire event on free crates, you may only be able to get 1 stage 6. Maybe you'll get lucky and get 2 because 1 drops in between, but not only do you need 2 or more, you need 2 of the best ones or more. So for a free-to-play player to make it through this event without ever trying for crates to get stage 6s, you're going to have to be very lucky. It's really not designed as a free-to-play event. The last 2 lock-ins are both purple stars, and really the developers kind of expect you to end up having to spend some money for crates, if nothing else, just to pull the right stage 6s. The good news is nowadays, with the drop rates, the crate cost, and on average, the loyalty being available, if you're not having terrible time of the crates, you should be able to get most, if not all, stage 6s when you invest around $80 to $100. Now, I'll tell you right now, for $69.99, I can get a game that I can play for 500-600 hours, and which is actually what I'm doing with Baldur's Gate 3. That's a $59 or $69.99 game, and you get to play 400 hours on it. It has replayability. The only difference is that it's not an online game like this, although you can still co-op. What's my point discussing that? My point is the app games economy has never made sense. Okay, you're not even getting the car for your $100. You're getting just parts for a car, and not necessarily enough parts to even get through an event. And the event doesn't come around again. It just, for this event, it's this car. You got to build this car for this thing. And we're talking, if every event you're looking at building 1 or 2 cars off of cash, and each one will require $70 to $100, and we have events coming one after the other, you can see where I'm going with this. Have I enjoyed the game for thousands and thousands of hours? Absolutely. Does that translate to at least some value? Absolutely. I mean, I'm not against spending in the game. I'm actually supportive of some spending because it's necessary to keep the game going. If you like the game, you want to support a game. If a developer makes no money, you don't get anything. But the economy of really getting through events in this game can be a huge sinkhole for your pocket and for your cash if you're not careful. So what I'm saying is pick and choose your battles. Fortunately, some of these events we can get through without having to spend anything at all, but be aware that big events like this, especially near the end, more and more so, it's designed to make sure you spend. Now, while we're talking, I've gone through a few more races, but as you can see, the difficulty has not really ramped up yet. And I don't expect it to. In fact, the recent change to the way the events are done is you really don't get super tough races until literally the last 2-3 races. And I think there's a reason for that because, again, if they make it difficult only at the end, like race 69, here we go. Now all of a sudden it's red. Transmission, that's actually a very good stage 6, except I already paid for it. If I pull that as my first stage 6 though, it wouldn't be enough. It just wouldn't be enough. It certainly won't be enough for race 69. But let's now see what we can do for race 69. So this is a extreme race. Let's see. All right. I should have gotten out of first faster. Hold on. Oh. Woo. Yes. Made it. Woo, that was close. Oh, wow, that is really close. 7.857 against a 7.873. Okay, so I won by literally a few hundredths of a second. But a win's a win, right? An inch or a mile, a win's a win. So we did win, and that's good. So that's it. 10 races to the end. But I suspect many of you will get to race 69 pretty fast, even with a newly acquired Charger Captiv that you built on Fusions you may already have. But race 69 is definitely going to hold you back unless you get those stage 6s. And race 70, if your first 3 cars are not fully maxed, it's going to make the last 2 much tougher. I probably have a decent margin here to win, even if I didn't have fully maxed cars for the first 3. But I think there is a limit to how much you're not upgraded by. At some point, it'll be too low an upgrade level, and that won't be enough. You do need enough upgrades to make it. That's always the case with any of these events. So, as you can see, the relays, no problem whatsoever. First car's maxed, second car's maxed, third car's maxed. So, what I'm doing is I'm actually going to build a huge margin for my last 2 cars, so even if they're not as quick, they won't have an issue. Okay, the Ford Twisted Mistress, it's really a fun car. I mean, I just wish it was more viable nowadays in live, which, I can tune it to beat dyno and all that fun stuff to try to at least beat people, but it's just not very stable or easily viable. And the Torque Gold Star, which I'm using here, really is not very good in live. I mean, it just unfortunately doesn't lobby well. It doesn't escalate Evo well. It is actually not that quick without stage 6s as well. So this is probably the weakest link as far as the cars are concerned in the event for me. the torque is just not a fun car to have in use unless you have the fusions and you have all those stage 6s already. I have the good fortune of having that car for a long time, and therefore over time it's been built to max. But many of us don't, that just started or even been playing a few years. So the torque is one of the cars that could hold you back. The Corvette, fortunately, is a really good car, and with, again, 2 strong stage 6s, it does very well. And now the Mustang, again, with 2 of the strongest stage 6s, does very well. It's very easy to drive and plenty quick for the purpose of finishing the event. Okay, now, and that concludes our Colorado leg, and I will now be getting the Buick. So here let's see. Yep, 2 seconds difference. Well, 1.9 second difference about. And 1.9 seconds spread through 5 cars could be a decent amount of less parts than what I was running and still make it. But again, Race 69 would hold you back if your 5th lock-in's not fully or not sufficiently upgraded. And here it is, the Buick Regal GNX. Again, this is a very collectible classic car. The Roadmaster Super Stock obviously is a resto mod, and it's not actually using the original engine. From what I'm reading, it is a V8 twin turbo, according to CSR2. If it's a V8, then it's definitely not Roadster Shops, not road Super Stock. I got it mixed up. But the Roadster Shops Grand National is a modified Grand National with supposedly twin turbo V8, making a lot of power. The original V6 actually in the GNX made it very famous because it was beating cars that are supposed to be way better than it is back in its days, and that reputation after being modded kind of still held its own. I've seen plenty of 10-second, 9-second GNXs at the drag strip, and that's only mildly, in some terms, mildly upgraded and modified. You can get those cars to run some pretty crazy times without really crazy money, and that's what made this car so famous as one of the classics. But regardless, one thing you notice as I'm clicking through the upgrades, there are no fusions to install. 0, none, zilch. That is a huge problem because if I can't get the fusions, this car is completely worthless to me at the next leg. And because it's a purple star, it's not like I can use parts crates to get fusions. Milestone unlocked. That's wonderful. I'm really appreciative of the fact they added that little X to the milestone unlocked, because now I'm not stuck going to look at it and then having to come back to the proper window. Okay, now, so as you can see, oh, wait a minute. Wow, the event crates are gone too. Just like that. Wow, okay. I don't know if that's intended, but wow, my crates are gone. I was thinking, beat the event, go back and collect crates, but no crates. No crates. The Duality Evo Cup's here. And that event's done for me, but there are crates. This might be a bug. I mean, they had a bug with a showdown, which they're aware of. I don't know if they're aware that these crates disappear too. That's really not a good thing. Okay, well, that might be its own ticket to Natural Motion about that. All right, so that is the conclusion of the event. Really, overall, the event is mediocre as far as difficulty is concerned, provided, again, you get the right stage 6s. For somebody who's building from the ground up, this is definitely a difficult event. And for some of us that have paid for the Mustang and gotten it upgraded, it's a pretty easy event. Sadly, the Buick is going to sit, and I don't anticipate this thing to be useful for me for the next leg. I hope there's a substitute, and that'll help me get to the end without having to use it. Well, that is the end of this particular run. I hope you liked the video. If you liked the video, leave a like. If you like my channel, subscribe, hit the bell, and you get notified when I put up new videos. And as always, thank you for watching my videos. I'll catch you next time.